What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is Tuesday, right? Let's see. It is Tuesday. All right, very cool. Hope you are all having a good freaking day so far. We're going to jump into this in just a second, but today we're going to be talking about having an honest conversation about being a parent on a fitness journey. Because oftentimes I feel like, in one way or another, like everybody's trying to show the best parts of their life or a lot of things on social media get glorified, right? A lot of things on social media get glorified a lot. And A lot of times people don't talk about the things that are a real struggle sometimes that do make a difference in the fact that, I'm a parent, I have a kid or multiple kids, and that I'm taking care of. My life and my lifestyle that I'm living and my responsibilities are a lot different than somebody who doesn't have kids. What's up, Lonnie? How's it going? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today is just some honest conversation, some things that I've learned over the years, through my own personal experiences, through the experiences of my clients, of things that have worked really well, things that, really kind of suck about, a fitness because, this shit is hard sometimes. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And as you guys are tuning in, before we get going, if you're watching this later time, hashtag replay, so I know that you saw it. Like the video so that way other people get a chance to see it because the algorithm likes that shit. It likes it so much whenever people like these videos. Feel free to say hi in the comments, and we're going to get this going. So, guys, a fitness journey as a parent, right? Let's just be honest about it. It's fucking hard sometimes, right? It's hard. But it's never going to not be hard. A lot of times we're just going to get stronger or we're going to get better about doing the things that we need to do, right? But I also want to emphasize it may be way fucking harder for you than it actually needs to be right now, right? You may be making things way harder than it needs to be, or other things and factors in your life may be making it a lot more difficult than it needs to be, right? It doesn't have to be as hard as it may be for you right now, is what I'm trying to get at. And so, some things that I have learned. I've got a little list of things that I want to talk about that I've learned in my fitness journey, as a dad, as a husband, as a partner. One thing for sure is that there has to be at least close to equal share of responsibilities in the relationship, and to have the self awareness and know that things aren't fair potentially in your relationship. I know, in some of my clients in the past, some clients I may work with right now, I'm not saying names or whatever, and even in my own relationship, having an unequal balance of responsibility for kid time, job time, work, whatever, housework it may be. If there is a disparity in that, right? If there is a disparity in that where one person is doing a hell of a lot more than the other person's doing, or whatever, whoever is in, either if you're in a fitness journey and you feel like you're doing all the work all the time, or your partner is on a fitness journey, but you feel like you're doing all the work, whatever it may be, there has to be a balance there. Because if you do not have a balance, there is going to be, uh, your relationship's going to suffer, right? Your relationship's going to suffer. I'm not going to pretend like I'm like a date doctor or like a relationship advisor or anything like that. I'm not. But what I do know is that if you are being, maybe too, like, I emphasize, like, it's okay to be selfish, but to an extent, right? It's okay to be selfish with your time a little bit to an extent to make sure that you're getting the self that you need, so that way you can be, live your best life with the time that you're not being selfish with, right? So there is a level of balance there. But if you are, being too selfish, right, where you're the only one getting to have fun, or you're the only one who's getting to work on their health, or you're the only one who gets to work on their self-care, or you notice that you're the only one who's taking care of your kids all the time and your partner's not helping at all, or you're the only one who's taking care of your kids and doing all the chores around the house, your partner's not doing their fair share. There's going to be a disparity there, and that's going to cause resentment, right? It's going to cause resentment. It's going to cause some shaky shit going on in your relationship, and you're going to have a hard time reaching your goals, because there's going to be that level of, like, emotional mental bandwidth being, like, fucked up and being taken up, and there's going to be You're going to feel like you're walking on eggshells and shit every time that you're wanting to work towards your own goals and things like that. And so there has to be a healthy balance, right? There have been times that I can speak from experience, all right? I can speak from experience where in the past, I have been, hey, what's up? How's it going? On TikTok. Uh, there's been times where I've been, you know, too selfish, right? There have been times in my life where I'm just naturally a very like selfish person with my time. Like if you like waste my time, I'm probably gonna be really annoyed at you. Like that's just kind of who I am because it's like I believe that we only have a finite amount of time on this planet, right? And we want to make the most of it. And if you're wasting my fucking time, you're gonna piss me off. Just to be transparent, right? What's up? What's up? How's it going? Happy Tuesday. And so, guys, so if and so for me, I'm a very naturally kind of like selfish person when it comes to my time. And so, in the past, there's been times where I was like, I was not being fair in a sense where I was, taking up a lot of time to go to the gym. I was taking, maybe a little bit too much time there, or maybe I was, not being as efficient as I could have. And you know what? That ended up leading to, having to have like honest conversations, being, communicating with Jessica, right? And talking about those things and hashing out and working out. And we do that. And we really, really emphasize the importance of communication in our relationship. And like, I think that if you are, feeling that right now, like you need to do that too, right? You need to do that with your significant other, or you need to like isolate whatever, struggle is going on, whether there is a disparity in, the balance of, are you doing all the chores and they're not helping out at all? Are you doing all the kid care and they're not helping at all, or whatever it may be? And unfortunately, a lot of times, it can work both ways, right? There are definitely like dads out there who go through it too, but there are a large portion of women who are struggling with this more than men are because there are a lot of dudes out there that just don't fucking do their share. I'm just gonna say it, right? There are some dudes out there who are shitty dads or aren't really dads at all. There are guys out there who are not good partners, and unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of people out there. And so you got to be aware of it. So self-awareness in those situations, you have to be aware that that is what is going on, and you need to do something about it. Because at the end of the day, if you were choosing, unless there's some abuse shit going on, you were choosing to be in that situation by not doing anything about it, by not like communicating, by not saying like, hey, this shit's bothering me. There's an unequal balance in our relationship right now. We need to talk about this shit. We need to figure this shit out. I need my self-care time. I need to be able to go to the gym or whatever it may be. So that's one thing, right? It's an honest conversation. Like there has to be, and granted, right, there won't always be a perfect 50-50 balance in your relationship, right? There won't. There's going to be, it's a dance, right, guys? It's a dance. Like you're trying to figure this stuff out. Like, you're putting, it's like putting out little fires here and there to make sure that you're keeping the balance. So that way the house doesn't burn down in a sense. And so that's life, right? Finding that balance between your health, your wealth, and your relationships. And maybe, if you're into that spirituality, right? So finding that balance between things. If you put too much time, what's up, Kristen? If you put too much time in one area, right? You water that plant too much, the other plant's going to dry up. So you need to make sure that you're watering your plants equally. And part of that is your relationship. So that's one thing, right? And so, getting away from that potential resentment is really important. And, if you let it go on for too long and you let it build up for too long, it's going to fuck your relationship up. It just will, right? It just will. And if you're trying your best and you're trying to make it as equal as possible and you're trying to like have your partner or whoever see your side of things and they're still not listening and you're not getting that self-care that you need and you're not being able to like work on yourself and stuff, guys, like, like you need to like, reevaluate what's going on there in all honesty. And so, just be aware of those things. What's up? My life is like a seesaw. Yeah. Hey, yeah. And it's tough and trying to find that equilibrium is difficult sometimes, but it's so important because if you're living your life or making decisions for your fitness journey in a place of scarcity or in a place of like, holy shit, I'm just trying to like keep my head above water, you're gonna have a really hard time. Like you just will. It's tough. So finding that balance and getting to a place of like equilibrium is one of the best feelings in the world. Because then you can start to build that momentum really well. Because a lot of times people get momentum and then life kicks them in the ass because they don't have that balance, and then they get thrown in the opposite direction with bad momentum, and they're like, God, what's wrong? And then they're like, I'm high on life, I'm killing it, and then they're like, and then like it is like a seesaw, and it's tough to get out of that pattern, but it's really important to get out of that pattern. So the next thing, right? As parents, right? And I think a lot of us can relate. A lot of times it feels like we don't know what the fuck we're doing as parents, right? Like people assume just because you're a dad or a mom that you're like, you know what the fuck you're doing. But like the more we realize as we step into becoming parents, right, and being role models for our kids and things like that, it's like, holy shit, my parents had no fucking clue what they were doing either. Like they had no idea. They were flying by the seat of their pants too. Like their parents probably were, and so on and so forth, right? Like every time a new generation of parents happens in your family or whatever, it's an opportunity to be a little bit better than the last generation and to break some like generational potential traumas and things like that that may have happened in the past. And like we're always aiming to be better in our lives and trying to be better for our kids. We want to be the best parents that we can be for our kids, right? And so, but we won't always get it right. Right? Like you won't always get it right. You'll do something where you're like, man, I shouldn't have done it that way. I'm gonna be better next time. Or maybe I shouldn't have been, as maybe I shouldn't have gotten so heated in the moment and gotten so frustrated, right? Maybe I need to like be better about managing that a little bit or whatever it may be. Maybe I need to take a step back or go into another like things like that where it's like you're like man like or maybe you let your kid do something and maybe they got hurt because of it, or maybe you let your kid do something and they got sick or whatever it may have been, and you're like, damn it, like I got to be better, I got to be better, and like we're constantly evolving as parents. Like we're not fucking perfect, right? And I don't ever want to pretend to be, and you shouldn't have to try to pretend to be either. And so, um, we won't always get it right. Right? You won't always make the right choices as a parent. You also won't always make the right choices as a parent on a fitness journey, right? And so sometimes you'll eat off of what your calories and macros are supposed to be, right? Sometimes you'll miss a workout, right? Uh, Full transparency. I told this to one of my clients the other day because they ended up having a binge eating episode, right? They told me they felt they felt so like they were regretted it. They were felt so bad and things like that. And it's like dude, like I had a stressful weekend this last weekend for part of it. Guess what I fucking did? I ate a whole package of fucking cookie dough. Guess what? We move fucking on, right? Life goes on. I'm still gonna crush my goals. Am I hitting more steps this week than I normally probably would have? Yeah, I am. I am because I want to be better than that. I want to work on myself. I want to be better than that. I saw like I was like, fuck, that sounds really good. I'm a little stressed out right now, and I got the munchies. I'm gonna crush that thing of cookie dough, and then I'll reevaluate where I'm at tomorrow. And I did, and it's okay, right? It's okay to have those honest conversations with ourselves after we may have made a mistake. And I'm not saying I have binge eating disorder or anything like that, but at the end of the day, I made a poor choice. We all make poor choices sometimes, but we have to own up to those choices and not like dust them under the rug and be like, it didn't ever happen. No, it fucking happened. I ate a whole package of cookie dough, and I'm not ashamed to say that. It shit happens. Life goes on, and we move forward. And so it's not about being like perfect, right? It's about recognizing that we aren't perfect and aiming to do better and making progress towards our goals and saying like I'm going to be better than that next time, and I'm going to be consistent, right? We don't all like nobody doesn't like, and this is the thing too that a lot of people feel like is like people put like people on a fitness journey or fitness influencers or coaches or whatever it may be on a pedestal, right? And to an extent, it is a little bit warranted, and it's nice and it's good, and I'm glad that people value my opinion and look up to me and things of that nature and want to know what I have to say. I think that's great, but at the same time too, uh, we're not perfect, right? We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the fucking time. I probably make more mistakes than most people do, and that's because I'm okay with it and I want to make mistakes because that's how you learn. But at the end of the day, like we still fall off sometimes, right? I fall off the wagon. You're probably going to fall off the wagon. Everybody does it at some point or another in their journeys, and when that happens, it's not that I'm better at like not falling off. It's just I'm better at getting back on the wagon that much more quickly. I don't beat myself up for days on end because I ate a package of cookie dough. I don't beat myself up on days on end and throw everything out the window and say fuck it, I quit. Right? I don't do that. Like because I recognize that shit happens, and as long as I show up tomorrow and aim to be a little bit better, the consistency will win over time. I will reach my goals over time because I am not sitting there like throwing myself off the wagon completely and being done for weeks or months on end and then trying to start again, right? It's that constant starting and stopping that people and not starting back up after a long period of time. That's what screws people over a lot of times because they beat themselves up so much mentally that they shame spiral and quit, right? So if you can avoid that you're ahead of the game. If you can get back on the wagon and recognize like it's just about consistency, that's what matters the most at the end of the day. And so you won't always make the right choices. whether that be due to feeling exhausted. Maybe your kids weren't sleeping, or maybe they woke you up early, or maybe it was sickness, or appointments, or sports, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's because you're trying to spend more time with them, right? Because you feel bad because maybe you're working full time, and like the little bit of time that you get at the end of the day with your kids that you actually get to spend with them, you're like, I want to spend that time with them, right? And so, you know, and another thing too, guys, like if you're a parent, and this is just another honest conversation from one parent to another, you need to prioritize your sleep, right? And I know it's easier said than done, especially if you have a newborn, right? Especially if you have a newborn or a toddler who's fussy or struggling with bedtime routine or whatever it may be. But you need to prioritize your fucking sleep. If you like, and you cannot fucking tell me, like, not, and yes, there may be a rare occasion or an outlier out there for those of you out there, but you cannot tell me that you could not spend, a half hour less on your phone at night messing around on social media. You cannot tell me that you probably couldn't spend or not watch that extra episode on Netflix or Hulu. We've all fucking been there. I've been there. I still enjoy watching TV and messing around on my phone, but I make sure that I get my other shit done first, right? You cannot tell me that you don't fucking do that shit, because you do. I do that shit, and I feel like I'm a very high performer in a lot of these areas of life, and I still do it. You bet your ass you still do it too, so you need to have an honest conversation with yourself as far as what is actually a priority to me. Is reaching my goals a priority to me? Is getting that extra bit of sleep and going to bed earlier so that way I can get up earlier and get my workouts and things like that? Is that a priority to me? Or is watching that show that I've built this habit of doing over and over and over again more important? You got to ask yourself that. If the show's the answer, okay, then you don't care that much about your fitness journey and it's not a priority to you. If you do, then stop, right? It's hard, right? It's a TV and social media is addictive. It is addictive for a reason. They want you to spend as much time as possible on it because they can blast ads at your face. That's why they do it. And so, at the end of the day, you got to have that honest conversation with yourself because it's tough, right? But it is necessary to do those things and get good sleep because you're going to make better decisions, not only as like for your journey, but as a parent. You're going to be less grumpy. You're going to enjoy the time that you spend with your kids more because you're going to be emotionally more like available, right? You're not gonna be like strung out and being like, fuck, I feel like exhausted. I can't even keep my fucking eyes open. Like I'm grumpier and shit like that. Like, like we've all been there. But prioritizing that sleep, if you are getting less than, if you're getting, so you should be getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. If you're getting less than 6 a night, you are fucking up. I'm just gonna be honest, you are fucking up if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep per night. Not only in your recovery for your workouts and things like that, but the choices that you make and how your body's gonna respond to your workouts and to your nutrition, right? Prioritize sleep. Like prioritize sleep. Um, and again, easier said than done. I've been there. I worked graveyard shift. I had a newborn. Like I was trying to like sleep during the day. He was crying during all day. Like, I've been there. Like I've been in that position. Our kid right now, right, is going through this like phase where he's like try like every fucking time we put him to bed. I love him to death, but every time we put him to bed, there's always one other thing. Oh, I would need a glass of water. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. You just said you didn't have to go like 5 minutes ago. Oh, I have to go. Oh, I have to go. What are you gonna do? You can't let your kid like piss themselves or shit themselves. You got to go take care of them. You got to go, let them go to the bathroom, shit like that. Like you have to do those things. And so he's trying to stay up as late as possible right now. Like, and it's fucking up our sleep schedule. But guess what? Still prioritizing that sleep as best as possible. And you need to make sure that you're doing that at the end of the day. Is it hard? Yes. Am I calling you out? Also, yes. Because there are things that we can do to give ourselves some of that time back to make sure that we get to sleep. Is it less fun to go to bed early or or get up earlier and not watch those shows? Yeah. But you know what else is fun is, actually accomplishing your fucking goals and losing that weight or recomping your body or getting those workouts in and feeling good about yourself. That's also a lot of fun. But it's more of like a long-term fun than a short-term fun like TV shows are, right? So that's something that you need to work on too. And just an honest conversation about that. Guilt. We all deal with guilt, right? As parents, we all deal with guilt, whether that be, and it's from all sorts of angles, right? I'm spending, I'm not spending enough time with my kid. Like maybe I'm spending too much time with my kid. I've got guilt because I'm spending time on myself and not on them, or I'm spending time on myself and not with my partner, or I'm doing blah 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 blah. There's guilt, and there's going to be guilt from all angles, and having and being okay with that level of it, I think is something that a lot of parents need to realize is that you're making yourself oftentimes feel guiltier than anybody's ever going to make yourself feel guilty. And that a lot of times you shouldn't feel guilty for taking some of that time for yourself because, and switching your mindset around this shit, because that time, that half hour to an hour that you get to spend on yourself, getting your workouts in or meal prepping, whatever it may be, or your mindset or your morning routine, that time that you have to yourself to work on that shit makes you a better fucking person, makes you a better mom, a better dad. And if you're able to get that time for yourself, time that you're making yourself feel guilty for to be a better version of you, that doing that little bit for yourself is going to make you a better parent for your kids. So you're giving your kids better quality time with you, right? You're giving your spouse better quality time with you by taking that time to yourself. So don't view that as being selfish, right? Don't like get away from the guilt of all that. But at the end of the day, right? Like as parents, we all feel guilt sometimes, right? I see. Also, a bonus for me is consistent working out actually helps me sleep. Yeah, for some people, getting your proper nutrition and getting your workouts in helps with your sleep a shit ton. It helps a lot. And so like it's the process of getting started, right? It's hard, right? And then keeping with it whenever life throws curveballs at you is also kind of hard sometimes. And so another thing, right? You have to show up, right? You have to show up. You need to view your fitness journey like you do being a parent, right? Doesn't matter if you're sick or tired or whatever. Like at the end of the day, if you're sick, you shouldn't be working out. But again, if you're tired, right, exhausted, if you're mentally drained, you're emotionally drained, you're whatever it may be, you still have to take care of your fucking kid, right? You can't just be like, sorry, 2 to 6 p.m. for me is not a good time, little Jimmy who's 2 years old. I'm depressed, or I'm exhausted, or I just don't feel like it right now, right? We don't get to make those choices for our kid. You have to take care of them because that's your job. They're a priority, and so you need to view your own fitness journey as a similar priority, right? And view it like doesn't none of that stuff matters because I still have to fucking do it. I still have to show up. I still have to set the example. I still have to put that work in. Because at the end of the day, right? If you don't take care of your kid, well, your kid's probably going to suffer, right? Or your kid's going to get taken by CPS or whatever, right? If you don't take care of them, right? If you don't take care of your goals or your body or your workouts, guess what? That's also going to suffer. At the end of the day, the work needs to be done. Otherwise, you don't get the results, right? Same thing. So, you have to show up. You have to show up. You have to set that example. And not only are you setting an example for yourself and others around you, you're setting an example for your kid, right? How I cannot tell you how good and speaking from my personal experience and from my clients, right? I cannot tell you how good it feels knowing that my kid is not going to be confused about fitness or nutrition or working out or not, and they're not going to hate it. They're going to view it as something fun, right? They're going to view it as something as like play. They're going to view it as something that's just like that's just a normal part of life. That's like brushing your teeth or going to the grocery store. You just work out. You work out. That's like part of life, right? They're going to have that instilled in them. And that's going to set them up for so much success going forward in the future. I'm not instilling it in them in like a dickish way or being like, cause I went to school with kids whose dads were like fucking assholes and we're just like you have to do this way and like you have like we're basically just like making them do it and making it not a fun experience, right? And so as a parent, I have the opportunity to do that for my kid, and it's already like showing up. It's already paying off. I'm already seeing it in ways where because he like he's asked me if he can have some like my protein shake in the past, or he's asked me like if I want to go like mess around and like work on his work out with his dumbbell set that I have for him, a little foam dumbbell set for him downstairs because it's fun. It's something that he sees me doing all the time and having fun doing, and he thinks it's fun too because I'm setting that example for him and I'm being a good role model for him in that way. Where it's probably not going to be a struggle for him that much because he's going to know how it all works and why it works, and he's going to have a sustainable approach in mind going into it. That personally, I never really had a whole lot of just in terms of like the sustainability approach because it wasn't back then like when my dad worked out a ton, set a really good example for me. Like working out's cool, working out's fun. Like I love that aspect, but never back then working out was like grind, kind of grind, rise and grind kind of deal, and like there wasn't a lot of like sustainable approach to it. necessarily for a lot of people back like in the 90s and even early 2000s, things like that. We didn't have the information that we have now. And so, I have an opportunity to do that for my kid and set that example for him. And you do too as a parent. But you got to ask yourself, what example are you setting for them, right? Are you setting, and also how are you talking about yourself, right? How are you talking about yourself around them, or even in the shadows, because it still impacts them, right? I know people who have kids and like they see mom and dad talking shit about themselves, or like being upset with themselves, or not having like any confidence, or just being like like a shell of who they could be, and that impacts your kids. Or like, why is mom or why is dad always like that, or feeling like that, or like beating themselves up, or like whatever maybe. Like, you don't think they see that shit? You don't think that impacts them? So like, if you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for them, right? Do it for them, because like at the end of the day, like, you're impacting them. You're their role model. Like, you have the opportunity to give them, like, they're gonna pick up on your habits, right? Good and bad. So it's your responsibility to set as many good habits as possible. And if you are not doing that, you are dropping the ball. You are. You are responsible for your kids. And so, set that example. And this isn't to like guilt you or shame you or whatever it be. This is just a matter of fact thing that I'm just saying, because like I want you to recognize that you hold a lot of power as a parent. You were impacting your kids in a very powerful way on a daily basis with your actions and the choices that you make and the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you respect yourself, right? And so, however you want to go about that, it's your choice. But I think it's an important thing to think about. At the end of the day, though, right? The biggest things that I have noticed that have made the biggest impact in my own fitness journey as a parent is one, time management. It's huge. It is so important, and so many people. My time management was fucking garbage before I became a parent. Before I started working with some of the mentors that I work with that helped me really take it up a notch in my life in terms of like my own time management skills. I was decent at it because of like college and grad school before, which I think kind of helped a lot. But really learning how to manage my time properly was such a huge impact, and has made a huge impact even further in my life, that it also made me recognize how fucking terrible a lot of you are with your time management, honestly. And this isn't a me, I'm better than you, like my time, blah, 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 blah. But just again, unapologetically, but also just matter of factly, like a lot of you are fucking terrible at your time management. A lot of you are. A lot of you, again, maybe screwing around on your phone, or watching TV, not going to bed on time properly, or even just doing things in an inefficient way, by not kind of blocking out time, setting up your day with a morning routine, or having like a to-do list, even like a lot of us, and I was in the same boat, just kind of like go to work, outside of work, just kind of floating through life, doing whatever, and being kind of like not very efficient with what you're doing. And it's like, no wonder you don't have the time to work out or to meal prep. It's because you're not spending your, and you may not even know that you're not doing. You may be like, what do you mean? I barely have any time to do anything. It's like, we all have blind spots. Like you might not be aware of what you're doing wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? Or I'm not saying that it's bad on you. Like, I had no idea I was doing certain things the wrong way until somebody pointed it out, and I was like, oh shit, why am I not doing it that way, right? And we all have parts of our life that are like that. So recognizing that for yourself too is really important. The last couple things I'll say is just consistency. Just recognizing that if you just keep showing up, you're going to get there eventually. If you keep showing up with a good game plan, and you're actively trying to be proactive about being better each day, you're going to get there. Like, you're going to get there. But you cannot value short term more than you value the long term. Otherwise, you're going to fail. You will. You're not going to make it. Like, if you only care about like seeing the scale drop the next day after you've only been working out for hardly no fucking time at all, or eating right for no fucking time at all, if you base a lot of your value in that, and not the long term, or the journey itself, or the other non-scale victories that are way more important in my opinion than just the number on the scale, you're going to fail. Like, in recognizing that there's more to a fitness journey than just seeing the scale move down, right? Recognizing that there's more depth to it than that is super important. And then just continually showing up, right? 'Cause at the end of the day, right? And I like this quote. It's, you can choose your hard. All right. You can choose your hard. Yeah, it's fucking hard to work out every day or work out, every other day. And it's hard to fucking track your nutrition. It's hard to build new habits and skills. It's hard to shift your mindset from where it was to where you want it to be after years and years and years of doing it one way, right? It's fucking hard. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's easy, right? It's hard for me still, let alone for somebody who's new to everything. Yeah, it's fucking hard. But it's also really fucking worth it, right? It's really fucking worth it. And what else is really hard, right? Again, the choose your hard. You can choose a hard life of working out and nutrition and doing what needs to be done day in day out and but also succeeding, right? Or you can choose the hard of being unhealthy, maybe dying young, maybe not getting to spend as much time with your kids as you wanted to, or in the ways that you wanted to, right? Maybe you're a floor parent who doesn't get up and play with their kids, or go running with them, or play sports with them, or go hiking with them, or spend time with them in a quality way that you want to spend time with them because you're so unhealthy that you can't, right? Maybe your joints hurt too bad, or maybe your knees hurt too bad to do some of those things, right? That shit's hard. What else is hard, right? Like having your kids see you beat yourself up all the time, and that being instilled into them and affecting them later in life as a teenager and onward and into adulthood, right? That's fucking hard, right? You don't think those things are hard? So at the end of the day, right? And I could go on and on and on about all those other hard things, but at the end of the day, what are you going to pick, right? Are you going to pick that, like the hard life of not showing up for yourself continually, like not lying, but like lying to yourself in a way, and not being integral to the things that you say that you want to do, and not being the parent that you want to be, right? Because at the end of the day, you can be whoever you want to be, and I'm not going to like look down on you for that or anything like that. You get to be who you want to be, but who do you want to be? Honest conversation with yourself. Who do you want to be, and are you acting in alignment with who that person is, right? Because you're choosing that hard, or you can choose this hard, right? The one where you do succeed and you do reach your goals, and yeah, it's hard to show up on a regular basis, but like, it does get easier. And also you get to be the person that you want to be for yourself and for your kids and for your family. So honest conversation about parenting. This is the parent fitness journey, but this is a long one. I appreciate you guys for watching though. I hope that this was valuable. I hope that you got value from this. Feel free to tag somebody in the chat if you want. Give this video a like if you're watching later time or now. Hashtag replay if you saw it. And I want to know your number one takeaway. I would love to hear your number one takeaway from this. And I hope that it was valuable to you. But just an honest conversation about being a parent on a fitness journey. Because, yeah, it's fucking hard. Like, I'm not pretending it's not. It is. But it's so goddamn worth it. It's not even funny. No questions asked. Is it worth it if you're thinking about doing it for yourself? Because it is. So. Cool. That's all I got for you guys today. That was a long one. hope you got value from it. But other than that, appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna hop off of Instagram and Facebook, and if you want to hop over on TikTok and ask some questions or chat, feel free to do so. But I appreciate everybody who has watched this entire thing, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll talk to you all later. See ya, Facebook.